Hi, and welcome to Visionary Speakers events, where we invite experts in their field that resonate with our core values to speak more about their expertise and while making people more conscious about a healthy, conscious, sustainable life and lifestyle. And it's been a while that I've done an interview because of all the things that we've been building and creating on the background. And you can see a lot more about that on our other channels. And yeah, you can ask us ourselves as well, of course. And now, something that I've wanted for quite a long time, but because all this came in between, it took a while. But I wanted to invite my partner, Ruud, and do an interview with him so that you know more about him and his background and yeah, what we have created in the meantime together. We're now in a building, a new building, in a convent, and you'll also hear more about that. But the funny thing is, we're in the same building and sitting in another room. So yeah, that's quite fun. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask him because I didn't tell him. And at the same time, that's the fun part about it. At the same time, we are so aligned that a lot of the times we even yeah are telling what the other one is thinking without communicating or even being aware of it. And yeah, he might know what I'm going to ask or feel what I'm going to ask, and it will just flow. But we're going to let it unfold anyway. And yeah, let's see what's coming out of it. But first of all, of course, Ruud, welcome. And I would love you to introduce yourself. Who is Ruud and where did it all begin?
Okay, who am I? Yes, where it's all began. It's a long time ago. It everything begins. Um, I was born in a business family, um, born above a shop, and grow up with business around me always and everywhere. Um, in fact, I only work 5 years in a job for my whole life, and all the other time I was an entrepreneur, or at home with my parents together, and later for myself. A big part of that, I was also busy in the informatics industry. I had a software business for a long time for huge industries to Europe. And beside that, I was also very busy with energetic healing, um, helping people with energetic healing. Later on, there came also supplements with health, uh, for a part based on my own experience, and for a part based on everything that I see what is happening when people change their lifestyle. Sustainability was another thing. Um, I had green energy in my home since 1997. That's 26 years now. And a lot of people say 1997. I don't know that they had green energy that time, but they have. I was one of the first one to adapt it. I had also the first car with catalyzer under it, and I had also one of the first electric cars. Now, about 11 years ago. So I was also always busy with seeing how we can things do better, how we can things do more sustainable, more healthier, and more beneficial for myself, my surroundings, and for the planet.
Wonderful. Yeah. So that is what you would like to say as an introduction of yourself. Thank you for that. So you see, there's a lot that you've done throughout your life, a lot of different things as well. And
of course, there's a lot of more to tell about myself, but I think we don't have many days to do this.
Yeah, but it will come. And if people want to know more about you, then they can
Yes,
always write.
always.
That's the interesting thing of it. So you can see how things unfolded in your life, and how you have been busy with health and entrepreneurship and sustainability throughout your life. And that is quite interesting. Our view on things are also very much the same, about healthy, conscious, and sustainable. And we actually, this week, a few days ago, we're celebrating that we are now, in the meantime, 5 years together already. Time is flying. And we know each other about 6 years, right? Do you first want to tell how we got to meet each other, and before we go to
Yes.
I think unfold it.
After all, there were a lot of chances in the past to meet each other. We found out it later. But I had a business partner, and she knows someone, and we make an appointment with him. We had a conversation with him, and he invited us to an event in Amsterdam. And okay, we accept the invitation, and we go there. And I met you there for the first time.
Yes, indeed. And I was there for the first time as well.
Okay, that was nice. We had a nice conversation, and the only thing we did was we linked each other on LinkedIn. After that, we have viewed each other, I think, the LinkedIn profiles, the website, something. But there was going months on before we met each other the second time. The first time was in Amsterdam, the second time was in Hilversum. The fact is, I was for many years involved with an American company for supplements, and every month we had a meeting from all the Netherlands together, and I was used to go there always the last Saturday of the month. And it was in September 2017 when I was sitting there in the back of the room, so as always, when you walked in. And I remember you from months ago that we have spoken to each other. So the first break, I go to you and I said, "Hi, do you remember me?"
Yeah.
And then we had a nice conversation again, and we share our phone numbers.
Yeah, I have to say, the funny thing is that it was in a total different setting, a total different environment, totally unexpected, because we didn't know from each other that we would be there, that we even did something with that company that this event was. So totally out of the blue, you were standing in front of me and asking me, "Hi, how you doing? Do you still remember me?" And I really had to think like, oh, you know, and then, oh yeah, of course. Sorry?
Yes. Okay. That was also the first time that you told me very little bit about your master plan. and that triggered me. And I immediately had I have to do something with that too.
Mhm.
So the
And that
strange
is what I meant, that our vision on actually everything on the world, etc., is very much the same. It's overlapping and it's also complementary, right?
yes, yes. The funny thing is, the company where I worked with, where you also was introduced in, existed over 23 years. And the week after that, we had that event where we met each other the second time. I get an email from the United States that they stop immediately. So they stopped with the company. And it was for a lot of people in the Netherlands, it was unexpected and very strange. For me, not, because I knew already that it was not going well. Had discussions about it with the owner before.
Mm-hmm.
But then I gave you a call. So you started to work together with this company, but it's gone now.
Yeah, but
And,
that's the interesting part about this, because the funny thing is, we met each other for the second time without even knowing there at that event, and shortly after, they stopped with the entire company. But the thing is, what is very interesting, and what Ruud already said in the beginning, there were more chances, more opportunities that we would have been able to meet each other, knowing in hindsight it was really funny. But the thing is, I was invited to work with this brand, with this company, and I didn't know then, when I was no, I wanted to know more about it, because a mutual friend of ours was telling about this, and she's vegan as well. Um, she was telling about this and was very enthusiastic about it, but I didn't know what it was about. But I was interested and I wanted to know more about it. Later, I called her to ask, so do you want to tell me more about this? But I didn't know what company it was, what brand it was, and what it was all about. But when she invited me and I went to the first meeting before we met each other there, I was like, interesting. I know this environment where I'm driving to, and I was like, I've been here before, and I knew, what it was about, because 6 years earlier, I had been to one of their
events.
I'd say so. Sorry.
One of the events.
Yeah, training center.
Yes.
A training center, and because I had met a couple online. I had reacted on a call for for collaboration with health coaches or whatever. And then I met this couple that worked with this brand, and there was only it clicked, and but there were circumstances as to why I didn't choose to collaborate with them there and then. That was 6 years earlier. So the funny thing is that we didn't know at all about this, or I didn't know before about this. And then when I found out that it was the same company, then later Ruud and I met each other there for the second time. And the thing is that we could have met each other actually 6 years earlier already via this company. And the funny thing is that you worked closely together with this couple that I met.
We share the same office for many years. So if you was involved 6 years before, we definitely had met each other 6 years earlier.
Yeah.
That's one of the opportunities that we missed.
One of the many we found out.
Yes.
So it was just, guys, it was meant to be. So you just know, there's no discussion about it. We had to
I can
meet.
tell also some other strange thing about it. 1 year after that we know each other, she viewed me some pictures on her computer when she was in London. And I was looking to the date of that she was there, because you can see on the picture it's made on this date. So I take my computer to view my pictures. And we found out that we were, both of us, in London on the same day, in the same shop, but we didn't see each other. So
yeah, maybe we did, but we didn't know.
One time in my life that I have been in that specific store, and that was on the same day that you were there.
Yeah, it was in Harrods, right?
Years after.
We can say the name. Yeah, and I hadn't been to London many times either, and in Harrods also. So it was quite interesting to find out. Yeah, that is also something we have experienced in what we have done, but we'll come to that later when you tell more about it. That there are forces that try to stop what we're doing, that don't really like what we're doing with our mission, with our vision, with our life purpose. And yeah, and we have experienced that in many things, also in little things, but they won't ever be able to to stop us, because there is nothing to stop, and you can't ever stop something that is of good intentions, and that is here to to sustain the planet, take good care of the planet and all living beings, etc. So it won't be possible ever for other forces to stop that. And we have experienced that as well, right?
It is very simple, because we definitely have a mission together.
Yeah.
So if we have to do that together, they can do everything that they want, but we have to do it together. And to do it. And it will happen. It's that easy. So yes, and then we see a lot of synchronicity in the past, but since we are together, the synchronicity is more and more in everything, everywhere around us.
Yes, indeed.
And that's a very interesting fact.
Yes, and even more and more in interaction with others, right?
Yes, also.
We experience that more now.
Yes, things what people say, things that are presented, text on a bus or a truck that is passing, something that is in the feed of your phone, of your computer, but it's constantly.
Yes. So if there are things that you want to know more about this, then definitely you can definitely contact us, because we can tell a lot about this, about synchronicity, divine partnerships, as people call it, and having a mission, a life purpose that you have to fulfill together as a couple. Energetically, we can tell a lot about that, and we can also really support and help other couples as well, and facilitate them in living their mission and fulfilling their life purpose, but also people that are still alone, because what I have found out, what we found out, is that a lot of people, and especially a lot of women, say to me, and say to us, yeah, but you are together, and it's not. It has nothing to do with jealousy, and I know that, but they feel like
Finally, we
then.
are.
Sorry.
Finally, we are. But there's a very long time before that we were not together, and we have
Yes.
working our mutual mission a part of each other.
Indeed, that was exactly the point that I wanted to make. Indeed, because a lot of, especially women that express it, perhaps men don't express it that much, but they feel alone in their mission, and they are longing for a partner to be able to do it together with, and they see us, and they're be like, oh, I wish that I could be together like you can, and fulfill your mission. And indeed, we are together. And at the same time, I also always warn them that we have a lot that we went through together and have to go through together. But it's definitely worth it. So go on. But we can definitely also support and facilitate those that have a mission and are still alone. And if they want to find their partner, to do this mission together with, we can also, help them in that process.
And it's
But
not always
please,
fun. It is not always fun, but after all,
no,
it's a very beautiful journey.
definitely, it's totally worth it. There are a lot of challenges to face together, as you also do alone, but together it's of a total other scale and immensely. But
Yes.
again, as you also say,
Together to the United States, and you know it.
but indeed, as you also say, it's definitely worth it. So, okay, what I want to ask you, can you tell more about what happened after we met each other for the second time?
What happened? We start working together, doing business together. First as joint venture, organizing events. The Visionary Speakers event was the first thing that we start organizing.
Yeah, indeed.
We start organizing retreats after that. So we are making plans to fill in all the parts of your master plan.
Yes, and we're speaking about my master plan because Ruud is speaking about that because I'll explain a little why and how, and then I would love to hear more from you, Ruud, what your very important role and part in this entirety is as well. So it started about 16 years ago for me that I had this vision of a multidisciplinary academy on a self-sustainable campus or resort, whatever you want to call it. And this multidisciplinary academy was and is meant for creative healers, as we call them, that have a mission to sustain the planet, as I said before, take good care of the planet and all living beings, while taking good care of themselves, because that's where it begins, and creating a legacy for coming generations so that they can thrive as well. And so I have been working on this, especially since I started my practice in 2015. I have been working on this behind the scenes, and alone indeed. It was it had to be this way because after a couple of years, Ruud and I met, and then we could, wonderfully pick it up together and bring it to the next level, and from there do everything together. And so we're very much, everything is coming more tangible and is manifested very concretely now,
Yes.
more and more in a very
In the last
quick.
month and the last weeks, it's going faster and faster.
Indeed. So I want you to ask you, Ruud, can you tell in your own words what your role in this all is, and what you do, and what you create?
I think at the moment, a huge part of me is, according to my technical background, the development of our own system, own system online with websites, a huge database under it. At the moment, I'm building the web shop, creating all the stuff for that everything can be defined on a right way. The payment module is ready also, but we have to put in the product first, of course. I'm working on that part now. So I expect in 1 or 2 weeks we have that online.
Great. Wonderful. So for the people that are watching, this is for our umbrella company and brand, which is a holistic vegan lifestyle brand for abundant lifestyle. And everything we do is a part of that, falls under it, but it's also, you can also find our assortment, Comfort and Conscience, it is called. And there we sell all kinds of, well-being, supporting, and also sustainable and ethical products. And I've been wanting to expand this assortment for quite a while, but more and more is coming now. And we have a lot to celebrate actually this week because we also have found a wonderful brand with a lot of wonderful items on the base of gems, crystals that we have been wanting to do for a while also. And we're going to roll this all out in Europe. So there's really a lot that we're going to do in the coming period, a lot about that. And it's really wonderful how you indeed created this platform for us and the webshop and the database behind it, because that's really what we're going to need, but also for the Tap into Your Talents Academy. So yeah, you're a bit quiet, so to say, but the things you do are huge, are immense, and I'm really very happy about that. And I want to thank you for that. I already did, and I do it more. But I also want people to know that I'm really, really happy about what he does, and really thankful that he does this, because it helps us, to launch everything and to create an empire. So it's
besides products in the shop, it's also very necessary also for the Tap into Your Talents Academy, that all our online products are available there too. And also for visionary speakers events. 3 days ago, I get the order to rebuild that website too. So there's a lot to do the coming weeks. That is.
What I want to tell about that is that what I really want to emphasize is that you are very secure in everything you do. You're really very clean also in what you create. So
it's very important.
Sorry?
It is very important.
Yes. Can you tell a bit? Can you explain people
Yes,
what you do?
if you build a system clean and with a good plan um, and the right knowledge, but also as clean as possible, it is very much better to maintain. And that's very important because it's for the continuity, for the system necessary, that it's easy to maintain and that it is stable and you don't get surprised every time with things that are going wrong. Little example, years ago I get from someone a procedure to do something, and I viewed that procedure. That was around 200 lines of source code, and I rewrite it in 2 lines. Because from 200 lines I make 2 lines, and it
So 100 times less than.
more than one, yes, almost 200 lines less. It were 200 lines, and now it were 2 lines. Yes.
Yeah, so 100 times less
Yes.
than it was.
Yes. Yes. That means also that if you have that in your source and there is something going wrong, it's easier to find in 2 lines than that you have to see what is happening in the 200 lines. Because
Definitely.
there is done a lot that is not necessary. That
Right.
also means that the performance of the system is much faster if it only have to execute 2 lines instead of 200 lines.
Definitely.
So it's very important to do it that way. I had experience with huge systems for huge industries. I had in the past also for some time a team working on it. And what I found then was a dramatically fall down of the performance because they just are not secure on that. It's very important to be secure on that. And they are testing it, of course, but they are testing with 5 records. And then it came operational with 5 million records.
That's quite a difference, right?
If you easily in one run to present one page, read 5 million records, you can wait 10 minutes at least. With 5 records, it's a few seconds, of course. They are not aware of the effect about what they are doing. And it's a very important thing. Another important thing is to have a future view. That means that you have in your development always to be prepared of things that are not there but probably are coming.
Yes.
An example of that, about more than 30 years ago, I was building a system and they had for the fat percentage the possibility that it could be a broken percentage. But until then, in the Netherlands, it never was a broken percentage. And there was another company that was creating also another part, and they're not going to do that. This was stupid. Within 6 months, the government decided to change the percentage from 16% to 17.5%. And the only thing what was necessary in my system is change in the table 16 in 17.5. They had a huge problem because everywhere the fields are without decimals.
Yeah.
So, they have to rebuild a huge part of their system because they don't have counted that it would be possible.
Right.
Okay.
These are really interesting things, and that I also, speak about consciousness and sustainability. And I really want to make people more aware of how things actually work, because people have a very yeah, how to say it, surfaced view of how life works and what's how things are actually functioning.
Well, the biggest problem what most people do is they think that the situation of the moment is stable.
Yeah,
But the
indeed.
world and the environment is changing very fast.
Yes, definitely.
You
All
have
the time.
always to be prepared on that and be steps before that you can adapt that change that is coming and that you are prepared for it.
Indeed.
That is not only in the development of an informatic system, that's in whole
No,
life.
that's life, right?
Yes.
Indeed, and that's in everything we do, because even when I started with my practice, it was and is, and also what we do is all about prevention, right? So
Yes.
think ahead, look ahead,
Yes.
and know what you can expect in life, and prepare for that, so you can be resilient. If you take good care of yourself always and in advance, then you're ready for when things happen. And then you won't be so surprised, or even you even get a confirmation about what you knew all along, or when it is something that is quite yeah, quite heavy, then you are able to, you know, to be resilient and to anticipate on things.
In fact, if you are completely conscious and you have a creative vision, you know before.
Yes,
And
indeed.
you don't get surprised. It's the same thing that I told about 5.5 years ago, that the company where we are working with stopped. What's happening? They are all surprised because they are not conscious and they are not creative in what do I do if the company stopped. They didn't think about that.
Indeed.
But for us, okay.
Yes.
It's a
Always.
situation. We go on that way or that way, but we know because we are prepared.
Yes.
Conscious, and we had the vision for ourselves.
A long-term vision, indeed.
A long-term vision for yourself is very important. Your vision hasn't to depend on what the company is doing or what your boss is doing or your partner is doing or whatever the government is doing.
Even for us, right? We don't depend on each other. We are whole ourselves, and when that should be the case, then we are able to function ourselves, and we do function ourselves also within our.
I think it's the most nice thing that I experience in our being together and our working together is, after all, you don't need me, and that's a very nice thing.
And the other way around.
And the other way around, of course, yes.
Yeah.
We don't need each other to be happy, to survive, to thrive. We can do it on our own.
Yes. And that is exactly what makes us so strong together.
Yes.
Right? That is why we are able to do so much, and that we can do immensely much, a lot in very short time. Because when we look back, you know, we are always like, what did we do in this relative short time?
But also a lot of things that people say that's impossible. It's a mission impossible. You can't do that, but we did.
We just did. Yeah, indeed. We're standing in front of you, doing that, being that, having done that.
Yes, some small things, but also huge things that they say you can't do that, but we have done it already.
Yes, indeed. So this is what Visionary Speakers is all about, right? What I want to ask you, do you want to share more of your view on your vision on sustainability?
Sustainability. Yes, there's a lot to talk about sustainability. Because sustainability goes in everything, every act that you are doing, everything that you are using. Yes, it is much more than switch off the light if you are not in a room, or switch off the heating when you leave home, or um, and there is still a lot of work to do on sustainability.
Definitely.
A simple example: just driving an electric car is not the end of creating a more sustainable way of transport. It's just the beginning.
Recently, we get a lot of comments, right, on that we drive electric,
Yes.
but nowadays, well, since recently, since last few years, but especially recently, we get a lot of comments on it, right? But can you shed some more light on that, because people are also from unawareness saying things to us that they don't really understand or can comprehend.
Many times is yes, but there's a huge battery in an electric car, and it's not sustainable to have that battery. That's true.
And also, what they always say is also, little children have worked on it, so it's not ethical either.
Yes.
Not sustainable, not ethical.
Yes, that could be true. That could be true also for the clothes that you are wearing. It's definitely true for the phone that you are using, for the computer you are using, for the TV you are watching on, for
yeah, a lot of things indeed.
It's very hard and also very sad that it is that way. And if you drive a not electric car, there are a lot of electronic components. There is an engine in it. There are a lot of parts that has to change every year or every 2 years, much more than with an electric car. And after all, you still have a tailpipe that is coming out a lot of pollution directly in your own environment. Just think about it. That for me was the reason that I want to drive electric. I don't want to have a tailpipe. I don't want to start in the wintertime my car and have the bad smoke in my street. Not for myself, not for my neighbors, not for my children, for nobody. And I realize that every car, there is not something as a green car. That is only in commercials. They start years ago with the first cars on LPG and say, that are green cars. No, they are not green. Also, an electric car is not green. Also, a car on hydrogen is not clean. Even if you have a car that you push, it's not green, because you have also pollution from the tires. And they are working on that, to better that. I know that. But for the time being, I can't say it is completely green. You produce only lesser pollution than you do with the other solution that we have. So what we are doing in sustainability is doing the part that we can do. That's an important thing. That's the same that I started with the green energy in my home in 1997. Not all the green energy is green. If they take wood from South America in a ship to the Netherlands to burn it there as green energy, there's nothing green about that. Um, and in the beginning, that was a part of the green energy that I was using, because there was no other green energy. Now you can choose. And also now it's not completely green, because the solar panels are not completely green, the production of it not, also not if they are at the end of their life, what's happening with them. With the wind energy, same problem. What are they doing when they are at their life end with the huge windmills? We have to think about it all.
Definitely.
But we need energy in today's world. Otherwise, you couldn't see us. We couldn't do this. So we have to use.
Yeah. So if the authorities would be more open to, solutions that are actually better, then things would have been better already.
Yes.
But as Ruud
definitely
said,
sure that we can make huge, larger steps forward in creating a sustainable world. But also, if you said yes, in the past everything was better. If I think 100, 150 years ago, when everything goes with an open fire in a house, smoke going to a pipe outside, was also not sustainable. So we made progress, and we did a lot of things wrong as humanity in our development.
Definitely. So what Ruud says as well, actually in everything we do and everything in our lives, that is also something that I want to speak about later. Also with nutrition, for example, you always make the best choices that are possible for you, and with intention. What the most important thing is that your intention is right to do it the best way you can, to make the best choices in this given circumstances. And sometimes one choice may in the greater whole, and also on a long term, you have to choose what has priority,
Yes.
and what has the biggest or smallest impact that you can make right now. Sometimes you have to choose, I'm going to do this, but in the end it's more sustainable than when I'm going to choose for the so-called more sustainable option at this point.
It's a very simple example. In December, we fly to the United States. Flying is not sustainable. It's more sustainable to take a sailing boat. But also there you can have a discussion about that, because the sails are also a kind of plastic, and you have to change them also after some time. But that would be more sustainable. Okay, but it takes 2 months to come there instead of.
And in the meantime, we could have built, created a lot of things.
Yes. So you have to make
that help make things more sustainable on a bigger scale and faster, etc.
If I see what's happening through and after the 1 week that we were in the United States, with the contracts that we have, the people we found, we met, we are working with together, then that flight to the United States is definitely worth it.
Definitely, indeed.
Of
And
course,
we don't fly often, right? How many times do we fly in a year?
this was the first time that we fly together.
Look together, yeah. Within 5 years.
In 5 years, yes. So there were times that I take the plane much more in the past.
Yes, but it was also, you know, preparation
Also
for what we do now
yes, it had also
with a
reason.
goal.
Yes, yes. In fact, always when I have to be in Europe, I almost never take a plane. Um, if there are better solutions to travel somewhere, but it's always something that you have to take in account. You have to be aware, and then it's not about price, because about price, flying is definitely most times the most cheap way of traveling. Also, if you go to Poland or to Italy or to Spain, flying is much cheaper than driving a car or taking a train or another kind of transport. Um, but I remember when we go to Portugal in September, we had the opportunity to take a plane, of course. But we drive to Portugal with an electric car. And we find out that we charge as much as possible at places where we have green electricity. Um, so we chose the most sustainable way for the moment and for the possibilities that we have. And that's an important thing.
Yes, and we didn't drive to Portugal to party or something. Yeah, we do. We actually
Even not for
do. We
holidays.
celebrate life every day.
We celebrate
But
life every day, yes.
but
in fact, we were there for 10 days and we have worked very hard for 10 days.
yes. Mhm.
That that is what I always had in the past. In the past, when I with my software company was I had always my office at home for since 1992, so that's for 30 years now. My office at home. That means I don't spend time and don't have traffic from going to home to work or something. But beside that, I was used to drive between 40 and 60,000 kilometers a year for my business because I have to go long distances. And other people are flying all that distances. Okay, that's your choice. But it was never only for holiday. So.
Mhm. Right. Um, as another topic that I said before that I would love to shed some more light on, and that I've spoken about in a live video about a week and a half ago as well. Which has many reasons, many different reasons holistically why we do this. But I want to first zoom in on our nutrition, as I said before, and can you explain why that is also what it has to do with sustainability as well?
Oh yes, a lot. First of all, the sustainability of myself. People that know me for a longer time perhaps see that I'm not exactly the same, have the body as I had 6 years ago. I lost.
I met you in a total different shape, literally.
Yes, yes. I lose around 25 kilogram in 3 or 4 months by eating more. So I don't have some crush diet or some supplements or pills to use. No, the only thing was I got completely vegan. I start eating more, but only vegetables, only plant-based food, and I lost 25 kilograms. I get much more energy, and the most important thing is I get a much more consciousness. I became more aware of everything around me, everything what is happening. That's the most wordful thing. And the strange thing is, after that, since I was 24, I had periods in my life, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years, that I was vegan or I was a vegetarian. And I realized 5 years ago, when I definitely made the decision from one day on another, one moment, so from now I'm vegan. And what happens after that, because I made the decision and I immediately did. If I make a decision, I start doing it now, yes? Not
Yes,
tomorrow,
all at once.
next week. If I start something, start is always now. I realized that all the periods in my life that I make huge progress in what people named personal development were always the times that I was vegan or at least vegetarian. And that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting thing, that 6 years before we met each other, the company I was working with the supplements, was very busy with weight loss with the Tanita scale. You can weight yourself, but also see the metabolism in some way that the scale is presenting. And I remember when I was user of a lot of supplements, my values were very nice, not completely perfect, but nice. When the company stops, all my values became worse. And as I had on my own computer screen, they all became red. Because I was missing the supplements. They were for very high quality.
Mm-hmm.
But when I became vegan, in a few weeks' time, I lost all the red signs of my Tanita scale. And they became better than in the time that I was using all the supplements. So
interesting, right?
Being vegan in a healthy way is very good for your health. But you have to do it in a healthy way. Because, as I said also years ago, vegan isn't healthy, but healthy is vegan. So there are a lot of vegan things that are not healthy, of course, with a lot of sugar. What is vegan? But if you do it in the right way, with the right food, as much as possible raw food, vegetables, greens, you will definitely get a better health and a better life, more energy. Even I washed my hair this morning and I was looking, this was completely gray, yes, 5 years ago. Short and gray.
Yeah.
Now I get
more and more color in it.
More color in it. It's
yes, indeed. Thing is, indeed, you said vegan isn't healthy, but healthy is vegan. That is indeed what you say a lot. Funny thing is, when I went vegan, I didn't think about all the unhealthy things that vegans could.
Unhealthy options. There are unhealthy vegan options. Yes.
Indeed, I wasn't even aware of that, but we also, nowadays we eat everything again, as long as it is plant-based, but and the most healthy choices that we can make. But what I find also quite interesting is that there are people that aren't vegan and say, yes, but I'm always, everything I eat is organic or this and that. And then they say, yeah, we also eat organic as much as possible, but we also eat, things like snacks, etc., and other things, and also sometimes sweet things as well, although we haven't done that much in our lives
But
anyway.
awareness and be conscious what you are doing. It is no problem to do it sometimes. But if you
Indeed,
do it every
that
day,
is the first thing. Indeed, we always say, it's okay to do that, and we're no, But what I find quite interesting is that people are mentioning that, but we experience that you can better eat some kind of snacks at sometimes, etc., and sweet things and that are vegan, plant-based than eating animal products.
yes.
Because the vegan part, when you choose vegan, plant-based, it's healthier either way. The healthiest choice you can make when you choose between the both, options, then the plant-based option is healthier anyway, right?
Very easy example is the protein. People are always talking about protein. How I get my protein? Very simple question. Where get an elephant his protein? Because an elephant is vegan. So what we need is plant-based protein, not animal protein. Because the animal protein is not the same protein as that we have in our body. The only thing our body can do is break it down and see, or I can use something, and then with extra things from plants, they can make our own protein.
Yes.
But
And I know
plant-based is much healthier and much better.
Definitely. And I know, and I'm going to mention this because I know there are people, and this is another discussion that we won't go into, but I know that there are people that disagree and say, well, humans are omnivores, so they are built differently and they need other elements, other nutrition. But because I'm just mentioning it because I'm aware of what people think, and but that's another thing. If you want to have discussions with us on this, then we are definitely open to it, and we will only tell our experiences and facts, and you can choose whatever you want to do with it. And we only make people conscious about options. What they do in their lives, it's up to them, but be aware of the facts and of what consequences of your choices, and don't attack others that have good intentions and want to help others, and also with being conscious about their own health and well-being, and the environment as well. We're not we're not harming anyone with it. But I just wanted to mention it because I'm totally aware of this. The last thing I want to ask of you is to shed some light on the sustainability part as well, because indeed, what I totally agree, and I also wanted to ask you that, and this is what I mean. about the health and well-being part, and that is what you say, your own individual sustainability, and that is exactly what I wanted to hear, also about health and well-being. And as I said before, that's where it starts, you know, with yourself and taking good care of yourself. And I always say, when you take good care of yourself, then you're automatically good for your environment. And taking good care of yourself is the opposite of being egotistical, I also always say. So do you want to shed some light on veganism and the environment and sustainability as well?
It's a very simple fact. We are using worldwide 1/3 of the land that we can use for the production of food, And on some reason, it's hard to feed 8 billion people with it. But you can feed one individual with a lot of food with 100 square meters. Why it's so difficult? It's so difficult because we are taking a very long way to produce a lot of food. We are using a lot of land for the growing of the food of animals, and a lot of land for the animals that people are eating.
And I want to emphasize on this because, sorry, I want to emphasize something, Ruud, because don't think these animals are here naturally, right? This is a very important thing to understand. These animals weren't, you know, when people say like there are so many animals on the world and God gave us them to eat them, be aware of the fact that they weren't there to begin with if people wouldn't consume them. So it's they are created. They are.
I got last week. I got a picture with a story from China. They've built their very huge apartment building for pigs.
Where they breed pigs?
They breed pigs there. The pigs never come out. They get food, so they use a lot of land to get food for the pigs.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are for consumption, for human consumption. The fact is, if the whole world is vegan, we are able, with the land that we have in use at the moment, to feed 100 billion people.
Oh.
That's only a third part of the land that we could use to feed people. So on Earth, we are able to feed 300 billion people. We have 8 billion now. I don't say that we have to let the population grow to 100 billion people.
No.
Only show the possibilities. What if we can use only 8% of the land that we are using now? Only 8%. And feed everybody in a healthy way and sustainable. What if? Yeah. Can you imagine this world?
I can. Yes, indeed, it's a good question of you. Can you imagine this? Yes. Because the reason why a lot of things don't happen is because people aren't able to comprehend, aren't able to imagine that, aren't able to envision it. Yes. So that's what we help people with, what we support them with, what we facilitate in. And this is what the Visionary Speakers events is all about, to make people aware, to make people conscious about, you know, the possibilities, potential that is immense, that is huge, that lies in front of us, but is never utilized, or is utilized in such a, you know, only a small percentage of
And can you
what's possible.
imagine how much a species of animals can live at the other more than 90% of the land that we are using now, but can live there in freedom,
Right.
in a natural way,
Mhm.
as it meant to be?
Yes, indeed.
It's not that easy. We only have to start with it.
It's not that easy. You say it's not that easy.
Yes, okay, yes, I say it wrong. It's
It's not that hard.
it's not that hard. In fact, it is easy. Now, perhaps it in fact isn't also so easy because I know how people think and people are.
Yeah.
But it is also not hard to do it, and that is one of our plans. It is part of our master plan, is to create an environment where this happens, where we can eat from completely yearly have our food from a small piece of land.
Yes,
A
indeed.
lot of other land around it where animals live, where you have woodland, where it's nice, beautiful.
Yes, indeed. So, indeed, it all begins with intention and your desire to let it be that way, to, you know, to the desire for the best way possible in the greater good. And what I always say is we are always aligning with the highest cause, the highest harmless, non-harmful healing frequencies.
Yes.
So just for the people who think, well, you can speak about it, and you know, we've done it, as Ruud said before, we do it.
Yes.
So it's possible, and a lot of others with us are doing it, and it's possible. We haven't been vegan our entire lives, which I have regretted at some point for a while, but I also understand that it was needed to be able to facilitate others that are at that point, that they think it's so difficult. We can really help them because we know what they go through. We've been through it. We have done it, you know. Yes. So we know what these people, what you are going through if you're thinking about this and you aren't vegan yet. But it starts with intention, with real desire to create heaven on earth, actually, to experience heaven on earth, to be healthy, to be thriving, to experience abundance in a way you could never ever imagine before. That is also something that I always say, that we always say, you can't tell anyone what it is like. You have to experience it for yourself. That's the only way. And you don't experience it by doing it one day or 1 week or 1 month or a couple of months. No, when you really choose for this, then a total other, not world, but a total other universe opens up for you. Imaginable, unimaginable when you haven't experienced it before, but huge potential, unlimited potential will open up to you. and it's a promise, it's a gift.
Yes. And it is not a challenge.
Not at all.
People are talked many times over a 7 days vegan challenge, a month vegan challenge, or it is not a challenge. It's a way of life. And
Yes.
if you are conscious about, you will make the choice and you will just do it.
Indeed.
It's that easy. Now I say it right, yes?
Yes.
Um,
So if you want to know more about this and you want us to support you with this and facilitate you in this, then definitely contact us. And you can also book a free strategy session with us. And I'll put the link beside the video as well. Just do come to us, have no hesitation. And we don't judge you when you're not vegan or when you're not vegan yet and you want to make this transition. We are open to those who are open to experiencing this and what we do.
we are all on the way to a better world. And some people are far on that way, that made a lot of progress, and some people have lesser progress. That's okay. If you are on the way, that's okay. And of course, then you can say, they are already that far, but they are still doing that not completely well. Yes, of course, because they are on their way. So we are on our way, and we are always seeing how we can better things.
Yes.
And sometimes we know that we have to do things that we will do better, but we are not able to do it, but we are creating the circumstances that we can do it better tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, it also depends a lot on the circumstances that we have to deal with at the moment. Otherwise, we would have done everything already. It's not about us because it's something that I remember. There are coaches and consultants and top experts that said if you could have done it, you would already have done it. But that's not true. It's about the circumstances that, you know. And we are creating the circumstances, but and that is also what I spoke about.
That is the same if I ask you, do you want to go on holiday? Oh, you can't do that, otherwise you was already there.
Yes, indeed. So, but you know, we are creating the circumstances, and that is also what I said in the beginning of this episode. Is that we have experienced and we do experience, but we are really in a breakthrough right now. We have experienced a lot of resistance in this, in everything we do, yes. Even in being together to begin with.
That's okay, because it's also a natural thing to have that resistance.
Yes, and actually, when I was doing athletics when I was younger, we always trained with, not always, but part of it was that we trained with resistance. And that was one of the things that I really liked the most, because after that, when you put it off, then wow, you're really, you know, you're catapulted forward. And although the circumstances in real life in this aren't and weren't very nice, in hindsight, I was really, and you know that as well when you're in it, but it really actually helped us, you know, to catapult us forward to our goal. So I don't invite and don't recommend people to thwart us in any way, but I just want to let you guys know, if you feel like things are hard and you aren't able to do it or to maintain, you definitely will. And that is also what we're here for. That is what we support people with. We can do it together, and we've been there, so we can help you with that.
Doing
okay, so
together
sorry.
doing things together are making things much easier, and you can get faster results.
Yes. And even when you get a lot of resistance then as well, then you also have more strength to,
Yes.
you know, to
So
transmute
it's okay.
things.
It's just part of it. And
Indeed.
if you do it before, then you're okay. It's there.
Yes.
So I go through it.
Okay, Ruud. At last, I want to ask you if you want to share something with the audience to, yeah, as a finish of this interview. What is your message?
Be aware of who you are. And I know it's for many people a very different question. The question, who are you? If you have problems to answer that, definitely contact us, because we can help you to find yourself, to discover and recognize your own core, your intrinsic core, yourself, and to become more yourself. And as I always said, who is completely himself or herself, he or she is the most beautiful. The most beautiful being you can be is being yourself. So a lot of things in our environment are constantly taking us away from ourselves, where our most beauty and our most party is. And we are doing the opposite. We are helping people to come back to themselves, to the authentic, intrinsic being, and from there to act, from there to live. And as we know from our own experience, it gives you rest, it gives you freedom, it gives you happiness. So it's the most worthful thing that you can have in life. You're welcome.
Yes, wonderful. So thank you for sharing this, Ruud. And especially these days, it is very wanted and needed. There are a lot of people that are looking for support in this way. So it's very important now. Thank you for being my guest.
Yes, it was
Finally.
nice.
Mm-hmm. We have done a lot in the meantime, indeed. And if you also want to speak or you want to be interviewed or both, we are also going to organize live events again, which we have started with, as you also said. In the meantime, yeah, we're doing it online more, and we also want to do it in real life again. I have quite a list of people that I want to invite next. So, but if you have something to share and you are a visionary speaker and you resonate with our core values and what you've heard and seen from us, then definitely let us know. And yeah, you might be one of the next.
Being interviewed is very easy. You only have to answer the questions.
Indeed.
Yes?
Yeah. So don't hesitate when you feel like you have something to share and you really want this, then you're welcome. Okay, I would say until next time then, and either online or in real life or both, we're looking forward to it. And again, thank you, Ruud, for sharing your vision and your message.
Thank you for this interview. It was nice to do together.
Definitely.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Until next time.